Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with the next iteration of Random Build in the Lake Ecclantria League, and this time around I kind of wanted to do something with the shield skills. Now, it was actually predominantly because of the buffed Emperor's Vigilance. That looked really nice. It should be time to do another shield skill build, but I then got to thinking about Poison Pathfinder, since it's something I haven't done in a little while, anything poisony and pathfindery. And I landed on Shield Crush, Shield Charge, Spectral Shield Throw, Pathfinder, but it doesn't actually use the Emperor's Vigilance Shield because this type of build is non-crit and it doesn't need the energy shield on a shield. So it's just a max armor shield, as much as you can get, like a 25, 2600, and then just building around Thicc poison damage, since we got so much armor to start with, going into some pretty big defense, and then letting Poison Prolif do its thing. It's been a while since I've done any Poison Prolif action, and it is dirty. So a lot of these maps are just cleared through a 4-link shield charge comfortably, just running around, charging into a pack, and then immediately the Prolif goes from one enemy to the next super quick, and it just takes out entire screens of enemies if they're standing close enough to each other for the Prolif to jump. So I did want it to be a bit of Spectral Shield Throw, but honestly that was only if these didn't really work out. But just with the way that Shield Charge is clearing and then Shield Crush is helping with its single target, I didn't really even try Spectral Shield Throw, but I think it's absolutely doable in this build. It'll just have like 50% less single target, I think, in the end. But then again, for some boss fights, it does make you entirely ranged, and it might be a DPS increase, because I think at this stage of the character I've got something like 6 or 7 million single target on Shield Crush, but we are extremely melee while doing that, and I have built fairly thick to accommodate for that. But then again, there's still times where you don't really want to be in melee range, and a Spectral Shield Throw would have something like 4 million DPS, and would let you be extremely ranged. So still can and should try it out, but for now, up to this character's level 91, it's been entirely Shield Crush and entirely Shield Charge. So there really isn't too much to go into this character on detail. As you can see, we just Shield Charge around, we stack a lot of armor. Since I started getting a lot of armor, I went with everything else too, so it's a full armor, evasion, block character. I'm capped on block. I've got like 50,000 evasion. I've got like 30,000, I think it is, armor. Endurance charges, all that kind of shit. The only real weakness at the moment is regen. So my character currently doesn't have any regen or like leech or anything. I live and die by the life flask or the on-hit kill stuff. And I mean, that's fine, but there are plenty of arch nemesis out there and various things that have a lot of degen, and that gets pretty fucking annoying. I'm not going to lie to you, I wish I could, because these defenses are really big, and I wish I could tell you that feels good enough, but it doesn't ultimately, because there are some degen situations that are pretty frustrating. For most of the base game, and a lot of arch nemesis, then these defenses are good enough, but some things have some degen and it is pretty annoying. So I'm still trying to fix that. Maybe I'll get some leech or some big regen somewhere, but for the time being, it is just a Thicc character against hit, and that's why I've also only got like almost 4k life, because don't need any more than that. Something like 100,000 effective HP against most fizz hits and that sort of shit. But yeah, the recovery is a bit lacking. On top of that, it is very ramp based, so you have to stand still and get your poisons rolling and wither stacks and all of that, and until that point, yeah, the DPS can be a little low, but for what it is for the rest of the character, it's overall EHP. I'm pretty happy with the DPS thus far. Not too sure how it's going to go against Ubers and all that, so the more targets you have, or the spicier the challenge, the harder it is to get your damage in. Like I said, being pure melee can be at a disadvantage, as you can see sometimes. Even though I can tank most of this sort of stuff, there's going to be attacks that you shouldn't and can't, and if I was shield throw, I could just run around and constantly attack. So we'll see how that pans out, and if I can justify a lower DPS with no recovery, but that's something I'm still fixing. Aside from that, character's been amazing to play just for general mapping. The Prolif is super fun, the thickness is pretty nice, and yeah, just a Pathfinder in general, still something I could highly recommend for thick map tier levels of gameplay. This is like a beyond tier 10, I think it is. So on the lake, some of the thickest content you're going to come across. And yeah, we can get kind of somewhere with the ramp, but it's definitely still very thick. And otherwise, just a nice showcase of how much damage we can take. So with all of that said, let me just jump right in and show you how I've built the character thus far. So here is the character at the moment, level 91 Pathfinder, called Why Not Emperor's Vigilance. It's going to be a question that gets asked a lot, since it is a very powerful shield for anything shield skill at the moment, but that does kind of factor in if you're doing any crit-based stuff with it. Since I'm not, like I said, just rolling a pure armor shield was the way forward, since I am just poison, non-crit, no need for the energy shield or the jewel that scales the energy shield. So to make this one, basically just grabbed an 86 Colossal Tower. I went with a shaped one just in case we got some nice shaped stuff, but then grabbed Dense and Sanctified Fossil, and this actually happened on the first one. So typically just Dense Fossil spamming will get you some pretty nice armor shields, and then you can finish off the suffixes with extra currency, and I just went with a locked prefix reroll from Harvest Physical, which guarantees physical damage reduction. Unfortunately, I only got a 4%, and it goes up to 8%. So that would be much nicer, but I did hit Ailment Avoid, so I stuck with it and tried to cap my Ailment Avoid through the rest of the gear. If you didn't get Ailment Avoid here, then you'd probably just get it on a chest prefix instead. So at the moment, the skill we're using looks something like this. Shield Crush, pretty basic. Bunch of fizz damage, bunch more fizz damage off your armor or evasion. Works on both, so you can do a hybrid shield as well. And then Shield Charge is down here. Similar sort of thing, but just a single hit. So it's not going to be quite as good. Attack time of 0.5. And then I think this just has a bit worse, but there's dual application of it. So you can overlap with it. And technically, you could just make a pure Shield Charge build if you really wanted. I think the single target would be a bit worse, but still not too bad. Then you just... and full travel skill, which is pretty crazy. Other than that, we do have Ming's Heart, so that makes this build quite a bit more viable this league than previously before, because 72% of Fizz's extra chaos is almost just straight doubling your damage if you are 100% Fizz and then care about the Fizz and the chaos for your poison build. And then nothing else too special, I don't think, for this league, but also grabbed a dagger that has chaos dot multi and then crafted it with some chaos damage, some poison, and I needed a resist as well. I did use obliteration for a while, and it feels pretty nice having obliteration smash about, but Prolif does pretty much the same thing, and Prolif plus the explosions I think kinda can be wrong unless you have a 100% chance to poison on the explosion hit, which we don't. But either way, you can do obliteration, you can do this, but this is going to have a lot more damage for the build, and then on top of that, it fills out a resist. The chance to poison on hit is no longer global, it's now local on the weapon, so that doesn't help, unfortunately, because capping poison on hit is a little bit of a challenge on the build. So we've got that. Using a Devouring Diadem with Grace Reservation, and the purpose of Devouring Diadem is for the duration of ailments, but also just to fit our auras in a little cleaner. If we didn't have this, then we'd have to spec into the Grace Reservation thing, which wouldn't be a big deal. I was originally budgeting for that, either here or here, but didn't need it in the end, so I haven't taken it. But yeah, the auras we're trying to fit in here are Determination, Malevolence, and Grace. So I don't have to ever press a Divine Blessing. It's Malevolence, Perma Uptime, a level 3 Enlighten, and then on top of that, a Precision just to fill out a teeny bit of extra mana for my accuracy. So yeah, level 3 Precision does fuck all, but I had a little bit of leftover mana. Ideally, yeah, if I had a lot of mana, I could squeeze in like a Vitality as well, and that would help my regen out a lot. But currently, none of that. So through the passive tree and the build, I am capped on block, as well as armor, all that shit. So you can see that block, even a little overcapped, so the mastery could get me to 77. But there's an argument for taking versatile combatant instead, since spells are going to be the biggest thing that I have a problem with, on top of the regens, the degens and stuff. I am suppress capped, but then again, having a bit more spell block instead of the armor reduction might be better. So you can see the defenses, and with full flask uptime, which is pretty much always, that's what we're rolling with. Since we're a Pathfinder, flask uptime is pretty damn good. Running this, and this, and this. This is kind of whatever, but helps a little bit. Otherwise, we could just take this for speed. But my flasks currently give the suppress and phasing, a bunch of evasion, bunch of armor, and attack speed and onslaught. Then basically just grabbed fractures, so fracture here, and rolled with loathings, essence of loathing, just to get the defense thing going. Suppress, avoid ailments, etc. Grabbed a ring that just fixes a lot of strength and a decent bit of life. And then a amulet that has a lot of damage over time multi. So in the end, actually, my build has pretty close to too much damage over time multi. So multipliers are usually harder to come by and stuff, but with lots of cool stuff from various sources, I've actually got like more multi, I think, than percent damage. So nodes like this end up being like really good. So as of the start of the stream, I'm going to be unspecking out of these and starting going through here, because these 5 give me like an extra 30%, 20-30% damage, some shit like that, and these aren't very good anymore. So you do have to be careful of that. So we've got some damage over time multi here. Like this is going to be very competitive with it at this point. I was planning to take this, but since I don't really need it anymore, it's not that good. But the tree does kind of go a bit too far around the place, and I wanted it to be a bit more condensed, but it's largely because I'm getting block, which I'm not sure was really worth doing, especially if I've got this much armor evasion already. I just kind of decided, hey, get even more defense while I'm at it. So maybe I could get rid of a lot of the block and then instead go towards some sustain, some life, some regen, that sort of shit. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm still fucking around with the end game of the build. This gives us a lot of armor. We take all of this shit for damage over time, poison. You do take the claw area because it's got a few generic nodes that are good, but then also enemies by poison cannot deal crits. That's pretty powerful. And then I need to take this for accuracy, and my jewel, just a bit of generic damage, but also corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. Aside from that, yeah, don't know what else to say. The chest, I think, might still need some help. It's a big evasion chest, otherwise it doesn't really achieve much. So I might get rid of the evasion roll, get a life roll, re-roll it to do something a bit cooler, we'll see. And like I said, if we just focus less on block, then maybe that makes a more well-rounded character. For now, though, this is the build. Feel free to copy it if you like. Just for the shield charging action alone, it feels very satisfying. Not quite sure it's going to do the full end game yet, but it's a decent mapper, and if we fix some sustain and regen issues, then it should be able to sustain its way through most arch nemesis crap. For now, this has done okay. So there it is. Thank you very much for watching, and see you guys next time.